They said her son was broken. They said she had failed. But when Miriam Cole's in-laws tried to replace her with a younger woman who could give them better children, she fought back with a weapon they never expected, and proved that a mother's love is more powerful than all their money combined. The party for Noah's first birthday had just ended when Miriam Cole heard the words that changed everything. The doctor sat across from her and Alexander in their expensive apartment in New York City and said clearly, "Mrs. Cole, your son has autism." Miriam felt her heart drop. She looked at her husband Alexander and watched his face change. First he looked confused, then scared. Then he just went silent. His phone kept buzzing on the table, but nobody touched it. That night, Miriam held baby Noah in her arms. He made soft humming sounds and seemed so happy and peaceful. But downstairs, she could hear angry voices. Alexander's mother, Catherine Cole, had come to their house. Miriam could hear her high heels clicking on the floor like a hammer hitting nails. One child, Alexander. Just one. And now this. Catherine's voice floated up through the vents. "Your father built this family to be strong and perfect. What will people think? What will your business partners say? You need more children. Normal children. Healthy heirs." Miriam's hands shook as she held Noah close. He looked up at her with innocent eyes, having no idea that his grandmother saw him as a problem that needed to be erased. She walked slowly down the stairs, carrying Noah, and entered the living room. Old family photos cover the walls, serious-looking Cole family members from the past, all seeming to judge her. Catherine turned around. Her diamond necklace sparkled in the light. "Miriam, darling," she said in a fake sweet voice, "we need to talk about your situation." Alexander stood by the window with his back to everyone. His shoulders were tight and stressed. "Mother, not now," he said weakly, but his voice had no power. Catherine kept talking. "There are options, dear. You've given us one child, and well, it's unfortunate how things turned out. But Alexander needs more children. Strong children. Children who can run this empire one day. Surely you understand." Miriam felt her stomach turn. "What are you saying?" Catherine smiled that cold smile. "I'm saying that perhaps it's time to consider what's best for everyone. Alexander could find someone else, someone younger who could give him the family he needs. You could still be taken care of course. We're not monsters. There would be a generous settlement, a nice apartment somewhere quiet where you and Noah could live comfortably." The room felt like it was spinning. Miriam looked at Alexander, hoping he would defend their son, defend her, defend their marriage. But Alexander just stood there, staring out the window, saying nothing. His silence was louder than any words. "Get out," Miriam said quietly. Catherine blinked, surprised. "Excuse me, get out of my house," Miriam repeated, louder this time. Her voice shook, but she stood firm. "Noah is not a mistake. I am not a failure. And if Alexander won't stand up for his own son, then we have bigger problems than you think." Catherine's face went red with anger, but she left, her heels clicking like gunshots. When the door closed, Alexander finally turned around. "You shouldn't have spoken to my mother that way." Those words broke something inside Miriam. In that moment, she realized she was completely alone in this fight. But she also realized something else. She wasn't going to give up without a war. 3 months went by, and the attacks got worse. Family dinners became a battlefield. Catherine would ask loudly if Noah had gotten better yet, making it sound like he had a disease that needed curing. Alexander's sister, Vanessa, started bringing her 3 perfect children to every family gathering. The children would show off, speaking French, playing piano, solving math problems, while Noah sat in Miriam's lap, sometimes rocking back and forth, sometimes laughing at things only he understood. "Such a shame," Vanessa would say, loud enough for everyone to hear. "My children are already reading at advanced levels. But I suppose not everyone is blessed with good genetics." Miriam would bite her tongue until it bled, holding Noah tighter, whispering to him that he was perfect, that he was loved, that these people were wrong. But the worst blow came on a Tuesday evening. Miriam was looking for Noah's medical papers in Alexander's office when she found a folder hidden behind some files. Inside were photographs of beautiful women, dozens of them. Each photo had papers attached showing their education, their family medical history, their age, and detailed information about their ability to have children. Catherine had written notes on them in her sharp handwriting. 25 years old, excellent health, family history of multiple children, graduated top of her class, good breeding. Miriam felt like she couldn't breathe. They were shopping for her replacement. They were actually planning to throw her away and bring in a younger woman, like she was just a broken machine that needed replacing. She heard Alexander coming and quickly took pictures with her phone, her hand shaking so badly she almost dropped it. When Alexander walked in, she was standing by the window, the folder in her hands. "Explain this," she said, her voice cold as ice. Alexander's face went white. He opened his mouth, closed it, then finally said, "It's not what you think." "Really? Because it looks like your family is shopping for wife number 2. She threw the folder at him, papers scattering across the expensive carpet. "Were you even going to tell me, or were you just going to serve me divorce papers one day?" "Miriam, please. How long have you known about this?" she demanded. "How long have you been letting them plan to replace me?" Alexander sank into his chair, suddenly looking much older. "My mother showed me those files 3 weeks ago. She said it was just planning. Just in case. She said the board is worried about succession, about the future of the company. They want me to have more children, normal children who can. Normal." Miriam's voice cracked. "Our son is 18 months old, and you've already decided he's not good enough? That I'm not good enough? The company needs heirs, Miriam. Real heirs." The words came out before he could stop them, and the moment they did, Alexander knew he'd made a terrible mistake. Miriam went very still. When she spoke, her voice was quiet but filled with steel. "I see. So this is about money and power and reputation. This was never about love. That's not fair. Fair." Miriam laughed, but there were tears in her eyes. "You want to talk about fair? I'll tell you what's not fair. What's not fair is that I gave you a beautiful son, and instead of celebrating him, your family treats him like garbage. What's not fair is that I've stood by you through everything, and now you're letting them erase me like I never mattered." She walked to the door, then turned back. "Here's what's going to happen, Alexander. I'm going to fight for my son and my marriage with everything I have. And you're going to have to choose. Them or us. Because you can't have both anymore." That night, Miriam didn't sleep. She sat at her laptop and started planning. If the Coles wanted a war, she would give them one. Miriam had grown up poor in a small town in Ohio. Her mother had cleaned houses for rich families, and Miriam had learned early that wealthy people thought money could buy anything, including people. But her mother had also taught her something else, that being underestimated was sometimes the greatest weapon you could have. The Coles saw her as weak, as someone who would quietly disappear if they threw enough money at her. They were about to learn how wrong they were. First, Miriam went to see a lawyer. Not one of the fancy corporate lawyers the Coles used, but a tough woman named Patricia Chun who had built her career fighting for women in bad divorces. Patricia listened to Miriam's story, looked at the photos of the replacement wife files, and smiled grimly. "They really think they can just trade you in?" Patricia said, "Let me tell you something. New York law doesn't work that way. You're married, you have a child, and those files, that's evidence of a conspiracy to destroy your marriage. We can use this." "I don't want a divorce," Miriam said firmly. "I want my husband to wake up and see what his family is doing. I want to save my marriage and protect my son." Patricia nodded. "Then we need to make them scared. Scared of what you'll do, what you'll expose, what it will cost them if they push you out. Rich families like the Coles have one weakness. They care desperately about their reputation. So that's where we hit them." Over the next 2 weeks, Miriam became a detective in her own home. She recorded conversations when Catherine came over and said cruel things about Noah. She documented every family dinner where they treated her son like he was invisible. She made copies of emails between Catherine and Alexander about the succession problem. She even hired a private investigator who discovered that Catherine had already had lunch meetings with 3 of the women in those photos, basically interviewing them for Miriam's job. But Miriam's most powerful move was reaching out to other people. She found online support groups for mothers of autistic children and learned she wasn't alone. She connected with journalists who had written about discrimination against disabled children in wealthy families. She even tracked down Alexander's college girlfriend, who told her that Catherine had broken up their relationship years ago because the girl wasn't from the right kind of family. Miriam was building an army of truth, while the Coles thought she was just sitting at home, defeated and powerless. The turning point came at a charity gala, where the entire Cole family was supposed to appear together, smiling for cameras, pretending to be perfect. Catherine had insisted Miriam come, but told her to leave Noah at home with the nanny. "We can't have him making a scene," Catherine had said coldly. Miriam smiled sweetly and agreed. But when the night came, she arrived at the gala with Noah in her arms, dressed in a tiny suit that made him look adorable. She also brought something else, a tablet computer loaded with all her evidence. Catherine's face went red when she saw them. "What are you doing?" "I told you." "You told me a lot of things," Miriam said calmly. "Now I'm going to tell you something. You have two choices, Catherine. Choice 1. You back off. You stop trying to replace me. You accept Noah as he is. And we all move forward as a family. Choice 2. I go to every reporter in this room and show them the files you've been keeping of replacement wives. I show them the emails. I let them hear the recordings of you calling my son defective. And I watch your precious reputation burn to the ground." Catherine's eyes went wide. "You wouldn't dare." "Try me," Miriam said, and something in her voice made Catherine believe her. "I have nothing to lose, Catherine. You already took my husband's support. You already made my life hell. But I have everything to fight for, my son's dignity and my marriage. So ask yourself, how much is your reputation worth to you?" The gala ballroom fell silent as Catherine and Miriam faced each other. Around them, wealthy donors in expensive clothes pretended not to watch, but everyone was paying attention. This was better than any entertainment they could have planned. Alexander appeared from the crowd, looking panicked. "Miriam, what are you doing?" "I'm fighting for our family," Miriam said, not taking her eyes off Catherine. "Something you should have been doing all along." Catherine recovered her composure and smiled coldly. "You're making a scene, dear. This is exactly why you're not suitable for this family. You're too emotional, too dramatic. I'm too emotional." Miriam's voice rose. "You've been planning to replace me like I'm a broken appliance, and I'm the one who's too emotional?" People around them stopped pretending not to listen. Phones came out, not to take pictures, but because people sensed something big was happening. Vanessa rushed over, trying to smooth things over. "Miriam, let's discuss this privately." "No," Miriam said firmly. "We're done with private discussions where you all gang up on me and make me feel crazy. We're done with quiet meetings where you plot how to get rid of me. If you want to destroy my family, you'll do it in public where everyone can see exactly who you really are." Catherine's face went pale. She understood the threat. "You're bluffing. You wouldn't humiliate your own husband." "Watch me," Miriam said, and she raised the tablet. On its screen was a photo of one of the replacement wife candidates with Catherine's notes clearly visible. Several people nearby could see it, and gasps rippled through the crowd. Alexander grabbed Miriam's arm. "Stop this. Please. Let's go home and talk." Miriam looked at him, really looked at him, and saw something she hadn't seen in months: fear. Not fear of her, but fear of losing her. That small crack gave her hope. "Do you love me, Alexander?" she asked quietly, even though dozens of people could hear. "Do you love Noah? Because I need to hear you say it. Right here, right now, in front of everyone. Or I swear I will walk out that door tonight and you will never see us again." The ballroom was dead silent. Alexander looked at his mother, at his sister, at the business partners scattered through the crowd watching this drama unfold. His whole life, he'd been taught that family loyalty meant following his mother's orders, protecting the Cole reputation above everything else. But now he had a different family, a wife and son who needed him to be brave. Alexander's voice cracked. He looked down at Noah in Miriam's arms. His son was humming softly, playing with a button on Miriam's dress, completely unaware of the battle raging around him. Noah looked up and smiled at his father, that pure, uncomplicated smile that children give. And something broke open in Alexander's chest. "Yes," he said louder this time. "Yes, I love you. I love Noah. And I've been a coward. I've let my mother bully you. I've let my family treat our son like he's worthless. And I've stood by while they plan to replace you. But that ends tonight." He turned to his mother. "Mother, you're done. Done interfering in my marriage. Done judging my son. Done planning my life. Miriam is my wife. Noah is my son. And if you can't accept them exactly as they are, then you're not welcome in our lives anymore. Catherine looked like she'd been slapped. Alexander, don't be ridiculous. Think about the company, about your inheritance. I don't care, Alexander said. And as he said it, he realized it was true. I don't care about the company if it means losing my family. Fire me from the board if you want. Cut me out of the will. I'll build my own life with my own family, and we'll be happier without your poison. The crowd erupted in whispers. This was the scandal of the year. A Cole heir choosing his autistic son over the family fortune. Miriam felt tears streaming down her face, but she was smiling. Alexander wrapped his arms around her and Noah, holding them close. The aftermath was messy and painful, but it was honest. Catherine tried to turn the rest of the family against them, but Alexander's uncle, the quiet one who rarely spoke, surprised everyone by taking their side. I'm tired of pretending, he said at the next family meeting. Tired of acting like money matters more than people. Alexander's right. Catherine's right about one thing, though. This family needs to change, or it deserves to fall apart. Slowly, others came around. Some relatives distanced themselves, unable to accept that the Cole perfection was a lie. But others, especially the younger generation, reached out to Miriam and Alexander with support. They admitted they'd always felt suffocated by the family's impossible expectations. Alexander did step down from his position as CEO, but he found work he actually cared about, helping run programs for special needs children. The pay was less, but the satisfaction was worth more than any amount of money. They sold the massive penthouse apartment and bought a smaller, warmer home in a Brooklyn neighborhood where Noah could play in a backyard. Miriam watched her son grow. Noah was 4 now, then 5, then 6. He still lined up his toys in exact patterns. He still hummed when he was happy. He still saw the world differently than most people. But he also laughed more now that the tension was gone from their home. He attended a school that celebrated his unique way of thinking instead of trying to fix him. And most importantly, he had parents who both loved him unconditionally. Miriam and Alexander had to rebuild their marriage almost from scratch. There were hard conversations, tears, and moments when Miriam wondered if the damage was too deep to repair. But slowly, with counseling and commitment, they found their way back to each other. Alexander learned to stand up not just once, but every single day. Miriam learned to trust him again, piece by piece. One Sunday afternoon, they were at a park watching Noah play. He'd made a friend, another little boy who also saw the world in patterns and colors. The two of them were building something elaborate in the sandbox, communicating in their own special way, and their laughter rang out like music. Catherine had called that morning. Alexander had ignored it, then blocked the number. Do you think she'll ever change? Miriam asked, leaning against her husband's shoulder. I don't know, Alexander said honestly, but it doesn't matter anymore. We're not waiting for her approval to be happy. Miriam smiled. It had been the hardest fight of her life, harder than she ever imagined. There were moments she wanted to give up, moments she cried herself to sleep, moments she doubted if love was enough. But she'd learned something crucial, that fighting for your family wasn't just about the big dramatic moments. It was about showing up every single day, refusing to accept that money mattered more than love, standing firm even when everyone told you to quit. She'd learned that being underestimated was indeed a weapon because it meant people never saw her coming until it was too late. Most importantly, she'd learned that Noah didn't need to change to deserve love and dignity. The world needed to change its understanding of what made a person valuable. Mom! Noah called from the sandbox. Look! He built something beautiful and complex, something that followed rules only he understood. Alexander and Miriam walked over together, hand in hand, ready to celebrate their son's unique genius. They'd lost the Cole fortune and family approval, but they'd gained something infinitely more valuable: authenticity, peace, and the freedom to love each other without shame or conditions. Miriam had fought against all odds, against money and power and cruel expectations. And she'd won, not by destroying the Coles, but by refusing to let them destroy her family. That, she realized, was the greatest victory of all. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video for more interesting and captivating stories. See you on the next one. Happy holidays!